time for them to agree on the name of the party, the logo, and constitution, and so forth and so on. And then thereafter, the party, they will submit documentation to INEC to register the party. Then thereafter, they have to start selling the party to Nigerians so that Nigerians will know what this party is all about, what is their economic policy, what is their foreign policy, and so forth and so on. So it's not a tea party. It will take a lot of time, you know, because unlucky for them, they don't have two influential personalities like former President Muhammadu Buhari and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because from behind the scene, they were the people who were directing, you know, those of us who were involved in the negotiation to, you know, maybe make one concession or the other, because in that kind of arrangement, people have to make concessions, you know, here and there. You don't have to take everything, so you take some, all right, and you give us others.
Let me take you up on the viability of this emerging coalition. And just like I had preempted you before you came on air, as an APC chieftain, I knew you were going to say this is dead on arrival, it cannot stand, this is APC's template. And surprisingly also, some chieftains of the Labour Party had said if President Tinubu could win an election against all odds when he was not president, nothing will stop him in 2027. Some Nigerians have also said this should be more than just criticism of the status quo. Nigerians are not looking for political rhetoric. They are seeking practical, implementable solutions. However, should the APC take these people for granted or underrate this emerging coalition?
Well, the Labour Party is not just in the picture. You know, the Labour Party has been rocked by the division. So to merge, for political parties to merge, some leaders must be in charge of those political parties. Look, let me tell you, if Buhari was not in charge of the defunct CPC, the merger would have failed. Because as a group of CPC members led by Senator Rufai Anga, who was the interim national chairman of CPC, but when he left office in January 2011, and late Prince Tony took over, but somehow in 2013, he got angry. After he had left the party, he went to contest for governorship, to get a governorship ticket in Kano. He didn't make it. He came back to say that he was still the chairman of CPC. He went to court. I was the counsel for CPC, and he lost the case. Then thereafter, he also said they were going to challenge the merger. All right. They went to court and to try to stop the merger, and he failed. So the point I'm making is that if you want your party to merge, you must be in charge of all the organs of the party, all the structures of the party. Otherwise, it's not possible, because eventually, when the parties agree to merge, they have to go for a national convention. And also, Mr.
Obono, if you also look at the members of the coalition dominated by Northerners, some say this is a deliberate attempt to malign the person of President Tinubu, spearhead this North-South dichotomy, perhaps attempting to carve out a need for themselves as a unifying figure, transcending the traditional North-South divide. Do you agree with this submission?
Can you come again?
So I said if you look at members of these coalitions dominated by Northerners, some Nigerians have said this is a deliberate, or it looks like a deliberate attempt to malign the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, spearheads this North-South dichotomy. Also said perhaps attempted to carve out a need for themselves as a unifying figure who transcends the traditional North-South divide. Is this valid?
It's not valid. They are just posturing. Today, earlier today, I was with a prominent Northerner who was in CPC, who became governor for 8 years. He said, look, these people are just posturing, that they know their antecedents. that one of them was because he was not made a minister and he agreed. He became aggrieved, and because of that, he's trying to, put some forces together in the north. That the northerners are not with them. Okay. He said, look, when the time comes, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should engage the prominent northerners who know the game these people are up to.
All right.
So that is it.
All right, then.
So I don't think it is even good for the country, for them, who are supposed to be national leaders. Some of them have benefited from the country as ministers, former vice presidents, and so forth and so on. Why do they want to divide the country? Why do they want to divide the country?
Right.
It is wrong. It's a long political strategy, and you can easily see that they are for their own interests, for their own personal aggrandizement. It is not as if they have the interest of the North at heart. The North has a lot of issues.
All right, Mr. Obono.
Focus on these issues like insecurity and banditry and so forth and so on, than just grabbing power for the sake of it.
All right. We'll continue to monitor this development, see whether or not this coalition will stand. I want to take you up on the effectiveness of the federal character principles in balancing regional representation in Nigeria. How important is it?
Well, the federal character is among the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. And if you look at chapter 2 of the Constitution, you find fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy of Nigeria. That is the moral or political compass of the country. In that chapter 2, you find the principles concerning economic agenda of government, foreign policy, environmental agenda, cultural agenda, and ethical agenda. So these principles are to help the government to have direction. So under that principle, section 14, sub 3, talks about the federal character principles. That the federal character principles must be respected.
All right, so Mr. Obono, let me read this out. Let me read this out. The composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or in any of its agencies. So how well would you say Mr. President has fared in his appointment?
Yes, fine. That's the chapter, section 14, sub 3 of the Constitution. I've not seen anything. Those who are saying that the current president has violated that chapter, section 414.3. I have not seen, because when we are talking about government is made up of three, branches. The executive branch of government, which is, under the presidency. You have the legislature. You have, the judiciary. If you look at the legislation, for example, we have the Senate President is from the South-South geopolitical zone. You have the Deputy Senate President is from, Northwest. Then you have the Majority Leader, then you have the Senate Leader. And then if you go to the House of Representatives, the Speaker is from also Northwest, and the Deputy Speaker is from Southeast. So how would anybody say that the federal character principle is not, respected? If you look at the judiciary, the Chief Justice of Nigeria is from Southwest, but the President of the Court of Appeal is from North Central. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court is from North Central. I think also the President of the National Industrial Court is from Kaduna. So I think if you look at the ministerial appointments, all the states have ministers. Some states have 2 ministers or more. The permanent secretaries have also the federal ministries. They are also the federal character principle is respected, is represented. The president has not appointed ambassadors. So we will not talk about ambassadors. But I think the federal character principle is respected, in all the branches of government and in all other agencies in the executive branch of government. There is no ethnic group that is dominating, or a state or section of the country. Because we saw the statistics that came out from the Federal Character Commission. And the Federal Character Commission is like the regulator of the federal character principles in the Constitution. We saw the statistics.
I hear you, Mr. Obla, but isn't it strange that, some of these agitations are coming from APC members? Because recently the federal government just dismissed allegations of bias in the composition of federal appointments as claimed by Senator Ali Ndume. He accused the president of violating the federal character principle in his appointment, which the presidency denied. Do you see any basis to these claims? Ali Ndume is not the only one talking. We have Guinea Kator, who is the National Commissioner, Federal Character Commissioner, just recently said same. These are members of the APC. What is happening?
Well, I think Senator Ali Ndume is playing politics because the Federal Character Commission, I was talking about the Federal Character Commission as a regulator of the federal character principles. They have come out with statistics, to show that the ratio, the appointment ratio is 55%, 45%. This country has been in two blocks. We had the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria, which was founded in 1900. We have the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. We have the Colony of Lagos, which was founded in 1861. And on the 14th January 1914, the Colony of Lagos, the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria, and the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria were merged into the Federation of Nigeria. So, and the presidency has said, look, appointments were done on 55% ratio for the North, and then 45% for the South.
All right, then.
So I think that is profound, and it shows that the federal character principle has not been violated.
All right.
Also, what Ali Ndume was saying was mere politics. It was
all right, then.
Politics.
I would have loved for us to continue this conversation, but sadly we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Chief Okoye Obono, a lawyer, writer, APC chieftain. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.